This is Total Television at the Total Telecom World Conference in London. I'm talking to Stefan Stanislawski, who has just chaired a session on next generation networks. It was really to do with when was the right time to invest. There was quite an interesting debate. For you, what were the main conclusions of the session?
Well, I think they differ between Europe and Africa. In Europe, the time to invest, ideally in some ways is now, but the financial crisis is sort of hanging over everybody. There was the big question, I think, for the incumbents who will drive most of investment in fibre is the price and the business case. And the conclusion, I think, in the session was there isn't much of a business case for an incumbent unless they're under very direct threat. So it's driven by fear, not greed. And there's this proposal from the EU to reduce copper prices. It's not clear how that will work. It seems, I think, to many on the panel, a little bit counterintuitive.
Okay, now the debate also spent a lot of the time talking on Africa, where there is a lot of action going on at the moment.
Yes, I mean what we heard about Africa is that capital is available. There's a high rate of growth. Economies are growing. Telecom networks are growing much faster than the economies. There's fibre being deployed. I think we heard in Kenya 7 or 8 companies building their own different local access fibres, and lots of new undersea submarine cable around the continent. So there is plenty of capacity at the coast, if you like, and now the challenge is at Africa inland. And it seems that things are moving very quickly there and plenty of finance available. So that's good news.
Yeah, because obviously, historically, most of the growth has been in mobile, and it looks like the submarine cables have really fueled some actual proper network infrastructure with a chance to leapfrog technology and put fibre straight in.
Yes, it would seem so. I'm sure that the areas that will happen are very selective, of course, but and we also heard that there's a terrestrial fibre link all the way from the south to the north, from South Africa to Egypt, I believe, owned by different parties. But that's a big change to the situation a couple of years ago, and apparently lots of growth. And they mentioned the vendors as a source of finance, so there's a lot of building of network in Africa, which is good. It will help their economy hugely.
It looks like we're not going to see much growth in Europe in the next 2 or 3 years. And do you think the Eurozone crisis is really going to have an effect?
Yes, I do, and I think that was the conclusion of the panel. Really it seems to split into two. Northern Europe is fairly robust, but the problem is lack of growth in the economy and also very mature infrastructure, so there's not much of a case for the incumbent. It requires government subsidy. In Southern Europe, it's very unclear what's going to happen. So one of the panel was postulating the breakup of the euro, and what would happen then is actually labour costs would really go down in those countries, but immediately there would be a lot of chaos and uncertainty. But what you might see actually, sort of counterintuitively, is after a couple of years, if Greece and Italy and so on have to leave the euro, you might see a fibre boom. But it won't happen immediately. But 2-3 years down the road, you might see a much higher rate of investment, in fact, in networks and fibre access than you would otherwise expect, which is slightly counterintuitive and quite an interesting conclusion. But Northern Europe, less dynamic.
Yeah, and I think it might take some sort of innovations of some kind to actually drive it. And innovation is very much something that you're involved with in your own life in Sweden, I think it is.
Yes, that's right. We own part of a business in Sweden which is a fibre service provider. So it offers 100 megabit per second symmetric. £8 a month is the lowest price, about €10, which is profitable, but there's not much profit in it. And what we have to do there is drive prices through innovation. Now, it's very easy to say that. The speaker from Ofcom was saying that the industry has to innovate, but trying to do it is a different matter. So we have some ideas to do with applications, supermarkets and so on, selling features and value-added services related to the core network proposition, but different. A classic one would be monitoring of burglar alarms. You know, if you can monitor your house at the press of a button, probably more people will do it if the cost is relatively low. It's all of those sorts of things, you know, more speed temporarily, different entertainment packages, whatever they might be. But actually putting that together as a technically feasible and commercially viable proposition is quite difficult. So we're working on that, but it's hard. It's not easy to innovate.
It sounds like we've all got an interesting 2 or 3 years ahead, but thanks for joining us on Total Television today.
Thank you very much.